Madam Speaker, to ask the Right Honourable Minister Mentor, Minister of Defence, Minister for Rodrigues, whether in regard to the installation of some 4,300 video surveillance cameras under the Safe City project, he will A. state whether it has been exempted from the provisions of the Data Protection Act pursuant to Section 44, and if so, indicate when. B. For the benefit of the House, obtain from the Commissioner of Police and table a list of sites where the cameras will be installed, and information as to 1. the dates on which the different components thereof will become operational. 2. The servers on which the information obtained is or will be stored, indicating for how long and where same are located. And 3. Whether cameras have been stolen, vandalized, and if so, indicate the number of arrests effected in connection therewith, if any.
Madam Speaker, as the House is aware, the Safe City project comprises the installation of 4,000 intelligence surveillance cameras, 4,500 trunking smart handsets, 350 vehicles mounted radios, 150 fixed desktop terminals to be installed in various police stations or posts, and an emergency response management system. This project will provide for an integrated and advanced technological system for ensuring safety and security of the public in general in Mauritius. It will act as a powerful and effective tool to combat crimes and drug proliferation, and also assist in more effective traffic road safety management. Since the project entails national security issues, there are certain information that are highly sensitive and cannot be made public. Madam Speaker, in regard to Part A of the question, the Data Protection Act already provides for exceptions and restrictions under Section 44. My ministry has accordingly obtained legal advice to the effect that 1. The Mauritius Police Force has a legal obligation by virtue of Section 9(1) of the Police Act to take all lawful measures for, inter alia, preventing and detecting offences. 2. For the purpose of complying with its legal obligations as set out in the Police Act, namely in Section 9(1)(b), the Mauritius Police Force can avail itself of Section 28 of the Data Protection Act, which allows the lawful processing of personal data. 3. In addition, Section 44(1)(b) of the Data Protection Act provides for exemptions, inter alia, for the prevention, investigation, detection, or prosecution of an offense, and reads as follows. 1. No exception to this act shall be allowed except where it constitutes a necessary and proportionate measure in a democratic society for A. Subject to subsection 4, the protection of national security, defense, or public security. B. Prevention, investigation, detection of or prosecution of an offense, including the execution of a penalty. C. An objective of general public interest, including an economic or financial interest of the state. 4. Section 44(3) of the Data Protection Act further provides that in case of breach of Section 44, a data subject or the Data Protection Commissioner may apply for a judge's order to protect the rights of individuals. As such, appropriate safeguards to the data subject by way of judicial control are provided, and this is consonant with the fundamental principles of the rules of law, namely that there can be no interference with the legal or constitutional rights of a citizen on recognized permissible grounds which require judicial control and sanction. As regards the question whether an exception constitutes a necessary and proportionate measure in a democratic society, the judgment of the Judicial Committee of the Privy Council in the case of Madeu versus State of Mauritius, 2016, PRV 6, provides essential guidelines. The issue inter alia was whether the taking of fingerprints and extraction of minutiae involving an interference with the right to privacy as per Section 9.1 of the Constitution could be permitted under Section 9.2 and as being reasonably justifiable in a democratic society in addressing this issue. The JCPC referred to the decision of the European Court of Human Rights, S versus the United Kingdom.
My question is very clear, whether a certificate has been issued under Section 44. And we've gone now, 5 minutes, 6 minutes around the subject, and I would ask Minister Mentor to kindly be precise and concise and respond to the question.
Honourable Leader of Opposition, I am following very closely the reply of the Honourable Minister Mentor. In fact, he is drawing attention to Section 44 of the Data Protection Act. He has to provide that information so that everybody is clear on what Section 44 of the Act says.
Read the section, madam. We know the section.
No, but I have given my ruling on the matter.
No, I am reminding you.
Please proceed, Honourable Minister Mentor. Please proceed.
The measure pursued a legitimate aim, whether the reasons given by the national authorities for interference in pursuit of that aim were relevant and sufficient, and whether the measure was proportionate to the aim pursued. Similarly, the Mauritius Police Force can avail itself of the exception of Section 44(1)(b) of the Data Protection Act. If A, the operation of the project by the Mauritius Police Force pursues a legitimate aim of preventing, investigating, detecting, or prosecution of an offense. B, the reasons for interference by the Mauritius Police Force with the rights of the data subject are relevant and sufficient. And C, the interference is proportionate to the aim pursued. 5, further exemptions are provided under Section 44(4) of the Data Protection Act, which reads as follows. A, personal data shall be exempt from any provision of this Act, where the non-application of such provision would, in the opinion of the Prime Minister, be required for the purpose of safeguarding national security, defense, or public security. B, in any proceedings in which the non-application of any provision of this Act on grounds of national security, defense, or public security is in question. A certificate under the hand of the Prime Minister certifying that the non-application of the provision is required for the purpose of safeguarding national security, defense, or public security shall be conclusive evidence of that fact. Madam Speaker, on the basis of this advice, and for the reasons I just mentioned, on 15th February 2019, the government agreed to the Prime Minister issuing, pursuant to Section 44(4) of the Data Protection Act, a certificate on grounds of national security to exempt the Mauritius Police Force from the provisions of the Data Protection Act for the processing of personal data to be collected in the course of the operation of the Safe City project. The exemption certificate will be issued shortly. Concerning part B of the question, I am tabling a list of the number of cameras that
Can I know who whistled? Please resume your seat, Honorable Minister Mentor. Can I know who whistled on this side of the House? And let me remind honorable members that whistling is not in order. If there are whistleblowers, then whistleblowers should come with their, what information they have. They stand up, and they should have the guts to stand up and say what they have. Please, order, keep calm. Yes. Honorable Minister Mentor, please.
Concerning part B of the question, I am tabling a list of the number of cameras that are and will be installed region-wise. The list of the sites cannot be disclosed for security reasons. With regard to part B1 of the question, I am informed that the contract for the implementation of the Safe City project was signed on 19th December 2017 with Mauritius Telecom. As per the contract, the project is due to be completed by 18th June 2019. However, due to problems encountered in obtaining clearances from different stakeholders, there has been a delay in the implementation of the project. The Safe City project is now expected to be completed and made operational by end of December this year. In regard to part B2 of the question, all data will be stored on dedicated police storage servers, which have been designed to keep data for that purpose. These servers will be located in a government building, and access to these servers will be strictly controlled. Only trained and authorized police officers will be allowed access to the stored data. Furthermore, the Commissioner of Police is currently working with the Data Protection Commissioner for the formulation of a code of practice to ensure strict compliance with all security aspects of the data protection. I am further informed by the Commissioner of Police that the data collected will be solely used by police officers who are responsible to take all measures for the prevention, investigation, detection, or prosecution of an offense, including the execution of a penalty. The data will be stored for a reasonable time, depending on the circumstances. Madam Speaker, the Commissioner of Police is the responsible officer for the collection and use of data, as well as controlling the operation of the Mauritius Police Force. As regards part B3 of the question, Madam Speaker, I am informed by the Commissioner of Police that on 7th December 2018, whilst on patrol, Police Sergeant C, posted at Midlands Police Station, noticed that one intelligent video surveillance camera was missing on a pole located near a covil at Midlands. He reported the case to the Midlands Police Station. Following inquiry, one Mr. R.S., who was arrested on 18th December 2018, admitted having picked a damaged camera which had fallen. He was charged with the offense of larceny by finding and prosecuted before the Culpip Court on 19th December 2018. He was sentenced on the same day to pay a fine of 5,000 rupees and 100 rupees as cost. I am also informed that 8 cases of accidental damage have also been reported. I'm tabling this.
Madam Speaker, may I ask the Honourable Minister Mento, firstly, 900 sites have already been equipped around the island. The pictures are already available at the command centre of the police in Eben, and yet no certificate exempting the project has yet been issued by the Prime Minister. Can I ask the Honourable Minister Mento when the certificate will be issued, and secondly, will he commit to tabling this certificate once it is issued?
I have just answered in the answer which I made to the House the reason why there has been the delay. And as I said, the system is not operational yet.
Speaker, the system is operational, it is working. A number of cameras are already at Eben working and recording under, I presume, the control of Huawei or MT, but we'll come to that in a moment. Can I ask the Honourable Minister Mento, given that there is now, first he has not answered whether he will table a copy of the certificate. Please can you answer? A copy of the certificate once it is issued by the Prime Minister.
We'll give consideration to that.
Madam Speaker, I'd like to ask the Honourable Minister Mento, Right Honourable Minister Mento, given that the Data Protection Act has completely been, this project has completely exempted from the Data Protection Act, it's going to now the Safe City project, which is a powerful surveillance, even spying instrument, will work in a complete legal vacuum. All sorts of abuse will be allowed through biometric surveillance. Will the Honourable Minister Mento not agree that it is urgent for a specific law to be passed in this House to prevent abuse, misuse, and to provide for heavy sanctions for anyone who makes illegal use of the surveillance cameras?
Madam Speaker, let me remind the leader of the opposition that they themselves, while they were in the former government, started with the installation of 46 CCTV surveillance cameras in Flic en Flac in 2009, and they were right in doing so, as these cameras were useful in identifying and arresting the authors of a rape case that occurred on Flic en Flac beach. The leader of the opposition, who was then minister himself, launched the system when it went live. Subsequently, in his 2013-14 budget speeches, he announced that CCTV cameras have also been installed in Catterbone, Port-Louis, and Grand Bay, and that new regions to be covered, including Bobassa, Rosehill, and Sodnak. Well, when they were doing it, it was right. When we are doing it, they find so many faults.
Speaker, the question was whether a law will be brought in this House to prevent abuse, misuse, surveillance of all types against civil servants, any politicians or ever. Let me just remind the Honourable Prime Minister that at that time, the then Data Protection Act applied to the CCTV cameras installed. There was a code of practice to cover the police use of the CCTV cameras. This is not the case now. So I revert, Madam, to the question, which is extremely important. Will there be a law, and will there be judicial supervision of any order to track persons, either forward or in the past? Will there be a requirement in the law that I'm proposing so that there is a judge's order required before anyone is allowed to survey and track innocent Mauritian citizens?
we know how to take our responsibilities, and we don't take any lesson from the leader of the opposition. The code of practice is already in progress.
Madam Speaker, under which, can the Prime Minister tell us, Honourable Minister Mento tell us, under which law will the code of practice apply? Because the Data Protection Act has been completely taken out of the picture.
Nothing has been taken out. Everything is still there.
This is why, Madam Speaker, it is imperative that the Honourable Minister Mento supplies this House with the certificate of exemption that the Prime Minister will eventually give to this project, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, can I also know, Honourable Minister Mento, whether he is aware that the Data Commissioner herself has submitted in writing advice to government, or even a request to government, that a specific law be passed to protect the innocent citizens from undue surveillance by ministers, by police officers, empty personnel, servicing, or be it Huawei.
Madam Speaker, advice of the Data Protection Commissioner has already been sought to that end.
Exactly, Madam Speaker, confirming what I have said, that she has advised you to provide a law to protect citizens. Madam Speaker, I'd like to ask Honourable Minister Mento concerning the sites. Now, around my house there are so many cameras, but in the hotspots of drug trafficking, I don't want to mention any places, drug trafficking in the north, I can't see any cameras. In front of the French embassy, where there was a fire, someone fired a gun, there is no camera. Around Port Louis, drug hotspots which we checked this morning, even one that was filmed by Iron News, there is no safe city camera. How come? Who has chosen these sites? And was there a survey before? And is it for political reasons that you're putting these cameras, or is there some other reason?
For political reasons. Were they doing it for political reasons?
Honourable Gunal, not from a sitting position, please.
You people talk of national security. Nonsense.
Madam, my question is a serious question. I will expect a serious reply from the Honourable Honourable Minister Mento. Was there a formal study of crime-prone areas? I can point several to the Minister Mento myself. Have there been formal study of crime-prone areas so that these cameras are sited there?
Well, nobody can know better than the Commissioner of Police which are the spots more sensible where these cameras should be placed.
Madam Speaker, I'd like to ask the Honourable Minister Mento. Elections are expected any time. Elections are expected any time now. The cameras, half of the cameras will be operational by June. Under whose control these pictures will be? Will they be handed over to the police in June so that they take control? So it will be Mr. Jugnauth who knows everything in this country, or will it remain under empty control so that during the elections these thousands of cameras will in fact be under the control of Mauritius Telecom?
Well, I have said it will be operational in December, end of December. It will be, in my answer, I have said, under the control of trained police officers and in safe place. Well, I can't say more than that.
No, the question is not that. The question is the whole country can see the cameras are there. They are recording. They are recording and they're putting the pictures at the command center in Eben. Now, who is in charge of that command center? Has the police taken charge of the command center, or is it under the control of Huawei or MT? That's a simple question.
Well, I've already answered in the answer which I gave. He was complaining that it was too long. it will be under the control of the police.
Speaker, there's a real danger that during the election campaign, all these cameras will remain under the control of Mauritius Telecom, which is even worse probably than under the control of MT. Now, Madam Speaker, I'd like to ask the Honourable Minister Mento, Huawei, I don't want to pick on them, Huawei has offered no spy agreements to a number of countries that have installed their systems. Has a no spy agreement been offered to Mauritius, and if so, what has happened?
Well, our system will be such that way or no way will, nothing will can interfere and get any information.
Good joke. Can I ask the Honourable Minister Mendo whether he has tested it himself, the system, whether he has himself tested it, and this is a serious question, whether in fact the government has asked for international audit advice to check the system that is being provided to us by a foreign company, to check to see there's no spyware installed, to see that there is no problem with that, no security problem, it is not hackable, it is not interferable, and whether it leaves a proper audit trail, has an international verification other than Huawei been done, and if so, if it is not done by himself personally, can he tell us who would have done this audit, please?
We have felt no necessity so far for doing so.
Speaker, I have asked a lot of questions, and I have got very few answers, and that's a shame. I would like to ask the Honourable Minister Mento whether in the name of democracy, government would not think of setting up a select committee of this House, and I'm not trying to play politics, I'm being very serious, to cover all the aspects, whether it is the legal aspects, how the access is going to be, the code of practice that the police will have, and what legal effect this will have, including the risk of foreign interference in our country, whether it is not high time that a select committee of the House be set up. We will certainly participate in the PMSD so that we can ensure that the country not only gets a system which protects against crime, which I fully agree, but also protects these innocent citizens from being terrorized by the police or any government minister.
Make me laugh. Greater terrorists than the PMSD can there be in this country?
Cross-talking is not allowed. You ask your question, the Minister Mento will reply, and you ask, please resume your seat when I am giving my ruling. Right? Honourable Boulay again. Honourable Ariram.
Well, we see no need for doing all this that is being suggested by the leader of the opposition. It is not hackable as it is a closed network. No internet or international connection for this network.
Speaker, may I ask Honourable Minister, Right Honourable Minister Mento to give a guarantee that this system will not be used to spy on civil servants. Say a civil servant has taken sick leave. Easily you will find where he is. Whether this system will not be used to spy on parents for catchment areas, for schools, whether it will not be used by MRA for tax purposes. Can you give us a statement, a guarantee that this system will not be used and abused in these specific ways?
Maybe the leader of the opposition, when they were doing it, they had in mind all this. But we don't have.
The leader of opposition, you have 1 minute.
Honorable Minister Mento. I use always the word Honorable Minister Mento, that in fact the code of practice was issued by the then Data Protection Commissioner to cover the use by the police, and it is not the case anymore, Madam Speaker. Therefore, I would again, Madam Speaker, ask the Honourable Minister Mento, given the dangers, to review where these cameras are sited, so that the police shows some courage and site the cameras where the main drug trafficking is happening, that there be a law to protect citizens of this country, and that citizens of this country are reassured through the through the appointment of a select committee of the House to look into the whole issue.
No need for the select committee.